As you know, on this podcast, I like to interview people that have been on a journey of transformation. People who are not afraid to be different in order to move through life and step into a more meaningful purpose. And I'm really excited today because I'm joined by my friend, Diego Sanchez. Diego, in my opinion, has lived a life of transformation. Mm-hmm. About 30 years ago, he would have been all around the world in some of the world's major cities, working as a model. He was the male equivalent of a supermodel on some of the world's most famous catwalks. Fast forward 30 years, and he's now back home in Uruguay. He's a shiatsu master. He teaches shiatsu all over the world. He's also a spiritual teacher in his own right, and he's been leading retreats all over the world since 2005. And I'm fascinated to talk to him about all the in-betweens and what's happened on his journey from the catwalk to this moment. There you go. It's great to see you, mate.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah. How do you feel being here?
Feels great. It's great that you're in Uruguay. I love being here too after so many trips abroad and living in different places.
Yeah.
I'm happy where I am, and
Great.
it's been a teaching in itself how to understand that this was my place.
Yeah. And we met first about 9 years ago, I think, 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, I was doing some of my first work for World Rugby with the Uruguay team.
Yeah.
You were introduced to me. We had a couple of sessions. You were in and around. I tried to kind of refer some plays to you.
Yeah.
So 9 years.
Yeah. I did end up seeing some rugby players for different ailments and in my office. And I remember I was also trying to coach them into the grounding techniques.
I remember.
Yeah.
We'll come on to that actually when we talk about the work you do now. So I'm from a town in the north of England called Wigan, right?
Yeah.
And in my town, most of the men play rugby.
Yeah.
There's no male models.
In
my hometown, there's no male models.
Yeah, probably there are. You just don't see them.
I used to think I was one. I actually used to think I was tall until I got to the age of about 30 and I realized I wasn't. But talk to me about your modeling career. How did you get into modeling? I know you're not modeling now. You do have opportunity, but you choose not to be a model. But how did you get into it when you were younger?
Well, when I was 17, I had a friend of a friend that was opening a modeling agency here in Montevideo, and it was a really unheard thing. It's like again, nobody was thinking. Maybe in Wigan, everybody wants to be a rugby player. Here, everybody wants to be a football player.
Yeah, of course.
But I said, "Oh, come on, you're gonna meet nice girls, make some money." And I said, okay, why not? And I tried, and it was pretty good. I had good fun here, made some little money. And by the time I was 19, I left Uruguay. I went to Europe for the first time. Not necessarily modeling, I went backpacking, but already there I realized that, maybe there was an opportunity. And then I came back here. I studied. I started some business. Didn't really work out. And when I went back to Europe again, in Madrid, I was offered to work as a model. And since then, this was I was 23. I hopped on, from in a circuit of, I had an agency in Madrid that then hooked me up with a contract with another agency in Milan, and then Paris and London, New York, and it was flying all over the world.
Yeah.
It's a great time, I have to
Nice.
say. I had a really, really good time, and fortunately helped with to have some financial
Yeah.
stability, to step on.
So you realised you could make a decent career of it when you was about 23?
Yeah, indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. I was kind of like having a grudge about being a model.
Yeah.
I was trying to do something else, but then one day I was walking on the street in Madrid, and I sort of like put my hands in a pocket, and I realized I have some money, and I was walking to my apartment where my girlfriend was there, and I was like, hey, this is not that bad. Maybe I should give this modeling career a serious chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was amazing. I have to say, it was amazing. Really, really, really good.
So we spoke earlier in some magazines. You were in the top 10.
Top 10 at some
Yeah.
point, like who decides who's in the top 10, but
Yeah.
it's modeling and fashion in general is a funny business because it's one of the few areas of the economy where women make a lot more than men. But it was good. It was good income. I traveled all over the place. I lived in 4 or 5 different countries. I speak 5 languages now, thanks to all the traveling I had to do and living in different places. I learned a lot about life.
Yeah. So did you enjoy it for a while?
Yeah, I did enjoy it.
Apart from the traveling, what else did you enjoy about it?
Well, I have to say, yeah, the traveling was amazing, and the intellectual challenge of living in places like Milan or Paris. I lived in Paris for 3.5 years, learning the language and the culture. Food. I discovered all the amazing food, the culture around that. I have great friends from that time. But in a way, it was frustrating because you can never tell why they pick you for this job instead of the next guy, or why between 200 people they choose that guy and not the other guy. It's sort of
Right.
difficult to do something that can really improve your chances. So I was lucky enough to understand this quite early on.
Yeah.
And I didn't try to become something that I was not. I was always me. I was kind of like weird because I was not built up, muscly kind of guy, which was fashionable
That was the
at the
fashion
time.
at the time, yeah.
Yeah. And but I still work for all the top people. It was good. However, when I was about 29, when I was 25, I had this mind cracking, skull cracking or mind opening experience. I was working with a German team in Miami, and the sun was too bright, so we were waiting. We had to wait several hours to get to wait for the sun to go down a little bit to get a different kind of light. And the makeup artist, who was German, said, "Listen, we have so many hours here to just waiting. I'm studying something called shiatsu, and I need to practice for my class. Would you mind just lying on the floor and I'll press some points in your back?" I said, "Oh, sure. We have all the time in the world." And after about 20 minutes of her pressing with her thumbs on my back, I got up from the floor and I had an amazing sensation. It felt like I kept rising. It was like I felt taller. I felt full. And I looked at my hands. It was like it's kind of like in the movies, like as if there was a glow. But the most striking thing was the sensation of fully being inside my body, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I was really, really curious about that. How can you get to that state just by somebody pressing points in your back?
So that sparked curiosity in you.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I said, what is this? And she explained it's a Japanese technique based in Chinese acupuncture, but it's only done with your thumbs. And I said, where can I learn this? And she pointed me to some books, and I started doing it. My wife had a headache, and they would go away. So in short, I went out there, bought the book, followed the instructions, and then everything was working, and I kept getting more and more interested. And eventually, when I was 29, I was living in London with my wife. We had our own apartment, good life, good car, good income. Everything was good, but I was kind of itchy. I wanted to do something more meaningful with my life than just waiting for the next job in fashion. By the way, it's one of the jobs where there's a really, really high levels of frustration that you have to deal with, and that was a very good school, I have to say. So I said, I really want to do something different, more useful with my life. And when I had that moment, I was quite sad, angry. It's a mixture of, it was not in a good spot. And then I said, I really want to move into something different.
Yeah.
And then, boom, I had a neon light, like a vision, shiatsu. The word shiatsu came up. I said, well, okay. I had already experienced it from the book. I had done some shiatsu with Japanese guys in Paris. And it's like, okay, well, I'll give it a chance. I looked up in the yellow pages at the time. And in my neighborhood, there was a shiatsu school. So I said, okay, I'm going to check it out. Went there, registered for a 3-year training course.
In London, yeah?
And that was it, yeah. That was the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're modeling, and then at the age of 25, you've had some kind of awakening into your body, right?
Yeah.
And after this awakening, it sparked curiosity, but also it's revealed a little bit of deeper frustrations, yeah?
Yeah.
The reason I mention that, and which we'll come back to, is the same thing happened to me. In my 30s, I'm in Thailand on a 1-month yoga retreat. I didn't really want to do yoga. I did it with my ex-wife. And in the meditation, I felt like somebody had literally ripped my chest open, and my heart popped up, and then it expanded, and I was the heart. And the same thing happened to me. Intense curiosity. Oh my God. There's more to life. There's more to me. But also it revealed the opposite. I was angry. I was projecting my anger onto the world of rugby, saying I'm going to leave rugby. But it was the start of an intense journey of self-discovery. What happened next for you after you kind of enrolled into the school?
Yeah, I mean, at 25, when I had that very first experience, it came that curiosity and awe and wonder of that really pleasurable experience of being in my body. Also came another deep sense of regret, of not having had experienced that before. So what did I do with my life? I was 25, at the time it was like all my life. But now I'm 58, I'm like saying, okay, I was lucky, it was quite early on.
Of course.
But it also gave me a sense of pressure to do something about it fast, and because I didn't act upon it deep enough, that's why I arrived at 29 with like a sense of discomfort that something needed to move, and I took some baby steps, but not the real plunge.
Yeah.
And so I started my training. Of course, my economy was depending on fashion. I was happy to work too. But it took me several years to phase out the fashion business and be a full-time shiatsu practitioner. In the meantime, I had decided to stop modeling. Mm-hmm. And I always had a very good experience in the States. Working in New York was a very good market for me. Yeah. So I said, okay, I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to stay there for a few months, make some money, and then stop. Mm-hmm. So everything was pretty comfortable anyway. But when I was in New York, I really loved the city. I loved the place. And my main teacher, although I was trained in England, they had studied with this incredible teacher, Pauline Sasaki, a Japanese-American woman that lived in Connecticut. As soon as I graduated in London, I took a flight and went to meet her. Okay. I had dinner with her and her husband after she gave me a session, and she said, listen, you should do this. I said, I want to do this, but, I have to pay the bills. Yeah, and course, she said, okay, well, take it step by step. And she gave me the courage to really do it. And when I decided I wanted to stay, my wife, we were coming back and forth from London to New York. And she called me and says, listen, there's a letter for you here from, I don't know, State Department or something, official from the U.S. And I said, oh, can you open up and let me know? And she said, oh, you won the green card. There's a lottery. Wow. That every year you can get drawn from, I don't know, millions of people. At the time, it was about 6 million people that had applied.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
1 in 6 million chance.
Yeah, well, it was about 30,000 people out of 6 million. Wow. That particular year. Every year is different. And that really helped me to get assured that I was on the right track. So she came over. We eventually bought our place in New York right before 9/11. And I said, oh, we made the wrong decision, we got stuck, we just put our down payment for an apartment not far from the Twin Towers. Right. My shiatsu office was in Soho. It was like right nearby. And we decided to stay anyway. However, 9/11 was also a very important point in my life because I volunteered to go and do shiatsu for rescue workers, and I ended up doing it at ground zero. I started working in the periphery with the police first, then they recruited people, the army recruited volunteers to go into the no-go area of ground zero. And I was there right after. I mean, I actually went in probably, I don't know, 1 or 2 days after. And I stayed until they said, once you leave, you cannot be allowed back. Right. And so I worked myself to exhaustion, but it was amazing. It was really, really amazing. It really helped these huge guys that were taking rubble and looking for survivors. And I was there when they realized that there were no more survivors. And it was a very emotional moment. This big tough guys, firemen, military, construction builders, they just broke. It was like they were exhausted, but we were helping them to get back on track, on their feet, and keep working. But when this happened, it was really really heartbreaking.
Wow.
And so since then, well, after that, I worked for the military in a hospital ship. There was more that in the river. I worked in different hospitals and stuff, but I really understood how valuable touch is in an emergency situation.
Yeah.
When you're going through a deep crisis, sometimes words don't
Yeah, I hear you completely.
get
Yeah.
to the spot, but having your hand on somebody's shoulder, like relieving some pain, it's supportive, it's nurturing, and it's immediate, and they were quite surprised. So since then, I'm in my field. I'm one of the most. I'm like the pioneer in intervening in emergency situations with shiatsu.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when did you leave New York then?
Then in 2000, when I was about to be 40, I left New York. I separated from my wife, and I came to Uruguay throughout the 15 years, the 17 years I've been away on holiday to Uruguay. And I was always interested in clouds here. Clouds in Uruguay are amazing. And I remember I was driving along the coastline and looking at the clouds. Oh, this is it's dangerous. I'm going to stop. And I stopped at one spot. I got off the car to look at the clouds. And then I felt that the grass where I was standing on, the earth, started to hold my feet.
Wow.
It's like I felt like this sensation of like hugging my feet. I said, wow, it felt amazing.
Yeah.
And I said, well, maybe it's time to come back. And so I returned to Uruguay, and that's when I started to do retreats. I started to concentrate my work. I was teaching in acupuncture schools in New York, and I said, okay, I'm going to come to Uruguay and then go back to New York and other places to work for maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, and come back. And eventually, I built a house where you've been by the ocean here.
Yeah.
In a place called La Pedrera, and already with a vision of doing retreats there. And I've been doing retreats since then.
Talk to me what happens in your retreats, because I know that it's much more than shiatsu.
Yeah, well, at the beginning it was more specifically shiatsu, and there were shiatsu professionals. Shiatsu in Japanese means finger pressure. So it's pressuring with your fingers in the acupuncture points. But there's a lot more to that, because in order to do that, the practitioner has to be in a specific state of mind, which is similar to meditation. So the style I do is called Zen Shiatsu, and it's because I need to be in that exact place where you described. Your heart is open. You feel expansion, because the expansion is what communicates and makes contact with everything else. So in order for me to understand what's going on with you as my client, I need to be in that space of openness. So when I work, the gift that the work gives me is that it obliges me to be in that state. So my work is my practice. It's my spiritual practice. The years it's been more than 30 years that I've been doing this. So when you are in that state repeatedly for so many years, and you observe, you start noticing things that are happening that sometimes other people are not aware of. You might have a lot of tension in your neck, and you're used to it, so you don't notice. You might have, I have. You might have all your energy in the front of your body because you're a high achiever, and everything is going to be happening, and or you might have all your energy in your back, and you're always like thinking about regrets or things that are have you hooked and pulling you back. So you start noticing all these things.
So you started to pick up on energies.
Yeah. So now I look at a person, and I can say a lot about what's going on, and many times just translating that into words for the person we have is very healing. So I do distance healing sessions. Again, what I learn is a map. All right, so it's meridians, and then I learned about the chakras. I trained for about 6 years with a Russian shaman that lives in the U.S. That he helped me expand into more and more maps, spiritual maps of how to, when you sense or see something, how to organize it so you can put it into understandable bite for the person. And just that is really very healing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So in the retreats, I teach people how to do this, and so it's there are many different ways of doing it. Everybody has his own way of connecting with intuition, and my job is to to accompany you so you discover what's your particular way of picking up this information.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people are visual, some are more auditive, like they hear something that makes you connect with some word or something. Some people feel what's going on, and other people just know it, but so I help people to get the courage to trust what they're picking up.
So within your retreats, would you say that you not only help people to connect to spirit?
Yes.
Would you say you also help people to connect to that feeling of coming home that you felt with your initial shiatsu treatment?
Yes.
Is that part
exactly.
of it?
Yeah. Over the years, when I was 25, I couldn't put the words to what I was feeling. Over the years, and especially working with this Russian shaman, his name is Gregory Antuhin, I realized that the sensation that I had was something that I call grounding. And grounding is the giving yourself permission to fully inhabit your body and to give your body and yourself permission to fully occupy your place in the world. Yeah. All right. So when you do that, you were saying expansion is something like this. You did like this with your hands, when your heart expanded. But expansion is not, we tend to think up, God and spirit is up. Yeah. But expansion, by definition, is in every direction. Yeah. And it also includes down. Yeah. So when you expand, you ground. That means you get more in contact with the energy of the earth, which so happens to be feminine energy. I was lacking that kind of embrace and nourishment from Mother Earth, Yeah. And then I understood, you might be away from your mother, or you might be not in relationship with your mother, and then you have a lot of other, a surrogate mother or adoptive mother. In every concept of mother, you can heal it through getting in contact with Mother Earth. In South America, there are a lot of traditions that Pachamama is that spirit of the earth. And they cultivate that, and although it's not my main tradition, and what I like is from many traditions to get the common traits, and this is one common trait for everybody. Like if you're able to feel your feet in contact with the earth and receive that stream of energy into your body, you will feel what I call grounded. Sense of solid.
Thanks for that. And I actually like what we're getting into here. I like that we're going deep. I met you 9 years ago, and in my judgment, I was not grounded 9 years ago. I now know why. I was kind of still on my spiritual search. I believed I could transcend all suffering, and I was living here. I was living in the pursuit of being here. Even some of my spiritual practices involved moving the energy.
Most spiritual practices
moving the energy.
Propose that.
Yeah. And I remember you talking about grounding, and I'd obviously read it in books because I knew about putting your feet on the earth and stuff like that, but I hadn't embodied it. And now I'm more grounded than ever in terms of my place in the world, the clarity of who I serve, my message, how I serve. I'm not in one spot because I like to travel, but I'm definitely grounded into my body more than I've ever been before. So I want to thank you for planting that seed, because the work that I do and all the retreats I've done, probably about 9 years ago when I probably did my first retreat, it was very much around sat in circles talking. But fast forward 9 years, and 85% of what we do is physically grounding practices. And then we talk.
Right.
We embody something, we talk about it, we embody something and talk about it. So that's been an interesting journey for me, because I used to jump around gurus in India and, the message around transcendence and meeting people like you, but also spending time in Peru and being introduced to the shamanic practices has definitely kind of took me from there and brought me down. So thanks for planting that seed.
My pleasure. Again, it's something I'm just passing on because it's been a life changer for me.
Yeah.
And it's funny here in Uruguay and in most of the Latin American countries where I try to teach this or I taught this. People have resistance to grounding because they think, well, if I ground myself, then I'm not going to be able to progress. I'm not going to be able to leave my hometown and make it to the big city and progress. And it's the other way around. What I was trying to propose the national rugby team here in Uruguay is. How grounding, imagine a pack of forwards and they have like deep roots into the field, they have a lot more power to move forward.
Yeah, of course.
Actually, being grounded, it makes your movement forward easier and more authentic. That's the main difference, it's not from the head or something, pulling a string here. It's like really from ground up.
Yeah. What are some of your key practices for getting into the body, grounding?
Well, as I said, everybody has their own way of doing it. The first thing that I try is visualization of, first of all, feeling. I think grounding is a sensation. It's not an idea. It's not a thought. You can think of grounding, but you have to make that work in such a way that you have a sensation that is different in your body.
Felt sense.
Yeah. So for most people, a visualization of after you felt the contact of your feet with the ground and imagining that you have roots that come from the soles of your feet and go into the earth. For most people, that works for about 85, 90%. Other people need other techniques and I explored that in my seminars too. But and sometimes instead of an image, not everywhere is visual. You can say some affirmations. For example, if you say you feel your feet and you say, "I am," even if you don't understand what you are, or it could be. And in your particular language, you say "I am" or "I stay," and then notice what starts to happen in your body, in the sense, the sensations. How do they change when you say affirmations? Just like
so, it's a multisensory practice, really.
Exactly. Yeah. Gut feeling, gut feeling is very precise. It's not like a wishy-washy thing. And what I do helps people to understand how reliable gut feeling can be if you give it a chance to stop and ask, what am I feeling?
Yeah. Okay. And I know that you're a proud father. Tell me how being a father has helped your spiritual growth.
Amazing. I have two daughters. One is 18 and the other is 15. And I'm really touched when, that's my most important mission. I'm very happy of being a father.
Yeah.
I have to say. We all father or mother many things. I mother many projects, and I have a lot of people that are doing amazing things in the world, and they have been trained by me and through this system to work in hospitals and to do amazing things, with babies in neonatology. So fathering or mothering is something that you can give yourself permission to do, even if you don't have a child, and it opens up whole new worlds. It's wonderful. I'm very proud father, and
I can see that.
I love it.
And so you're 58 now.
Yeah.
You don't look it. What's next for you on your journey of life?
Well,
looking forward to what projects have you got on the go? Where's your energy going?
Well, gardening.
Gardening, yeah.
I'm enjoying gardening a lot.
Grounding.
Grounding. But I'm still traveling, I keep opening new markets where people are interested in learning this stuff, I work quite a bit in Europe, a little bit in the States. I work in Uruguay too. Thanks to the pandemic, I was able to translate all these teachings into distance healing and distance teachings through the internet. I was lucky that I did my first webinar in 2002.
Wow.
Yeah. When it was like really weird thing. So I was ready when that happened. Wow. So I have a platform where I can teach people and guide people through the steps. But I keep traveling. I think it's for me, we live in a world that although grounding is very much needed, I think it is because we become a lot more nomadic.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be nomadic, to travel and move on.
Yeah.
And don't be attached to the physical coordinates of one specific place. But never lose that sensation of being at home wherever you are. So
I like that.
Yeah.
The felt sense of being at home you're talking about, yeah?
Exactly.
Yeah. What would your 58-year-old self say to your 23-year-old self?
Well done.
Yeah, I was thinking you could say that.
Yeah. I made mistakes, that's for sure. The verdict is not in until the very last day. But I congratulate my younger self for having had the guts to follow my vision, my instinct. Even if I didn't know where it was gonna lead. I'm happy I was free enough to just follow.
Great. And if I ask you to thank the 6 most significant, influential people in your life today, who would they be?
Well, my parents, my father, my mother, and my brothers.
You can have more than 6.
Yeah. My wife, my ex-wife, and then the mother of my children, which we also spent 12 years with each one of those, and my daughters, and my teachers, Pauline Sasaki, Gregory Intuihin, and all the teachers that I had that eventually led me to keep learning and improving and discovering. I feel very grateful, very, very grateful of the people that I've had around.
Sounds like you're standing on the shoulders of some wise elders there.
I hope so. The list of people to thank is really endless.
Of course. Yeah. And events, right, as well.
Yeah, events like, for example, 9/11. Although it was a very tough, difficult. After that, I dipped into a deep depression for a few weeks. I couldn't really get out of bed. But I felt very happy that I was useful and that I could have something to give in such a dire situation, where surrounded by death. I'm happy at some really chance encounters of people that I've met here and there, maybe from here in Uruguay and then in New York, that eventually led me to be in an operating room doing shiatsu during open heart surgery.
Wow.
And I've done a few of those. Wow. I was the first in my profession to be fully integrated into an integrative medicine program.
Wow.
At Columbia University Hospital.
Amazing.
In New York City. So, all those things happen by chance and by, again, following that gut feeling.
Yeah. Wonderful.
So, yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
Difficult at times, but a lot of fun.
And if any of our listeners want to train with you online or they want to find out about you,
sure.
where do they find you?
Just look up for Diego Sanchez Shiatsu, and you'll find through Instagram. My website is diego-sanchez.com. But if you do any search, I'm easily repairable.
Easily found.
Easily found.
Yeah. Well, Diego, it's been a pleasure to
Thank
talk
you.
to you like this and to listen to you and to feel you as well, and the life that you've lived and the remarkable work that you do.
Thank you.
And stay grounded.
I am. You too.
You too. Thanks, mate.
That's the best I can wish somebody.
Yeah.
So
Thank you so much.
thank you.